I am back for the biggest tournament in Brawl Stars history. That's right, the Brawl Stars World Finals kick off later this week, and there are free rewards and skins even that you can earn through filling out your predictions at home. This is the most popular video I've ever done on my channel, and that was before I was a BSC caster. Now I've watched a ton of scrims, casted and hosted all of these regions, chatted with players, interviewed with players. I feel like I have an even better understanding than last year of exactly how this tournament could go down. Whether you're a casual fan of Brawl Esports or you're somebody that's watched throughout the entire year across regions, this is the video for you. I truly feel like this is the most competitive year of Brawl Stars yet, but I've done a ton of research, watched a ton of scrims as of late, and I want to make sure that I'm providing you all with the best information. So if you're a casual fan at home, maybe you haven't seen all these teams play, you're going to have the best information going into this to earn yourself that free Tara skin. Now, let's get into matchups. Because of this, we get Zeta Division 1, the MSI champion and the 1 seed from the East Asia region, going against the 6th seed in the EMEA, CMG EU, the dark horses who somehow made their way into this tournament. It's hard to hate Zeta Division 1. If you've watched any of East Asia alongside me this year, they've won 4 of 7 monthly finals, have arguably the best player to ever play in Satampo. They added Kenji and Moyagoku coming into this year, 2 phenomenal players from the East Asia region last year, and they won MSI. Reasonably so, they are the favorites entering this entire tournament and especially this matchup. CMG EU, formerly known as Craze Clan, are some respectable players. They have been grinding scrims. I've seen them working very hard. They snuck into the World Finals as the 6th seed in EMEA, have had some big moments throughout the year, but I'm taking Zeta Division 1 in this one. Don't overthink it. Match number 2 has the potential to be a banger. Reply Totem, the 2nd seed in the EMEA region, has had a phenomenal second half of the year. They picked up Joker, won 2 monthly grand finals and an ESL LAN event against SK and Tribe Gaming EU, 2 other top worlds competitors here this weekend. Additionally, they did place top 4 last year as well, so that's definitely something to keep in mind as we advance forward. Vatra Gaming, though, are no slouches. Additionally, they are a 2 seed from the NA and LATAM North region. They've had a great second half of the year, and these guys deserve a lot of love. As somebody who's been in the NA and LATAM North region and seen a ton and arguably watched more from this region than any other region that I've seen, these guys deserve all the credit in the world, and they absolutely deserve the spot they have. This match, I don't have a super high confidence level on after chatting with some other people, watching scrims from both of these teams. I really do feel like this is going to be quite even. Reply Totem didn't have their best month last month, but nonetheless, they do have that LAN experience, and in my mind, Vatra just has a few more outs. They haven't necessarily been at this big LAN event stage in front of a large audience, so I feel like Reply Totem is just the slightly more safe pick, I would say. I think it can really go either way, though. Go with your gut at home. Let me know down below, because I do think this is going to be one of the hardest matches to predict. Day 1 continues with some insane action as well. We've got the 1 seed from LATAM South, AQM, playing against STMN Esports. AQM have won 5 of 7 grand finals in the LATAM South region, and deservingly so have earned themselves that #1 spot. They've been consistently at the top of their region. They were one of the teams to arrive in Paris the earliest, so they've been scrimming a ton. They've been prepping, and I'm going to say they look really good. This has been a team that's particularly impressed me in watching all of these practice matches. However, STMN have been playing at the top of their game as of late. STMN have certainly had a roller coaster of a year. They've had their ups, they've had their downs, but nonetheless, they've still come away with 2 grand finals in a very competitive region, have won a LAN event at ESL this year against Tribe Gaming NA, and they beat Tribe Gaming EU, another 1 seed in this tournament, earlier at MSI 2. I really do feel like this team has the legs to make a long distance run. They've got a lot of talent. They always show grit when they play, and anytime I interview these guys, whether it's on my channel, whether it's for NA on a BSC broadcast, they really do want to win it all, and I think they believe in themselves, and they should. They definitely have it in them to go get that title. I think AQM deserves a lot of love in this spot. I really do like what I've seen from them in scrims. It won't overly surprise me if they win this one, but I do think STMN deserve a lot of credit in this spot despite being the 3 seed. They've been hot as of late. They've had a phenomenal last couple months. Give me the boys in green to win this one. Day 1 ends with Stalwart Esports, the #1 seed in the CESA and ANZ region, taking on the #4 seed in EMEA, Team Queso. This is a tough one for me to kind of pinpoint. Stalwart went undefeated in the CESA and ANZ region, which reasonably so earned them the #1 spot. I've had the chance to watch quite a few of the Stalwart scrims, and they look really solid. They've played a few Worlds teams that I've seen, some that are not quite Worlds caliber, but are really, really solid nonetheless. And it's just kind of hard to know how to feel about them. I feel like there's just a lot of outs for a team coming from this region, not even the fault of their own, but just because they haven't played nearly the large amount of players. Also hard to get a judgment off of their MSI performance just due to all the roster changes, that they didn't have their full normal starting lineup, and they've had a lot of roster changes throughout the year just in general. TQ may be the 4 seed in EMEA, but they are a really solid team who've had some really high performances throughout the year. They may not be playing at the top of their game as of late, but they're still a really strong team. I respect people kind of choosing either side here, but I think I'm taking Team Queso in this one. I think they're a little safer, but are certainly not a guarantee. Excited to really see what both these teams can bring though, and this is one of the matches that I also think will be a surprise and one that's going to be very difficult to predict. Starting off day number 2, we've got the number 1 seed from EMEA, Tribe Gaming EU, taking on the 3 seed from LATAM South, Zest, formerly known as Zero Zone. This is another matchup I'm not going to overthink. I'm rolling with Tribe Gaming EU. They have past experience at Worlds, MSI, and overall there's just a lot more outs for Zest to lose. I would say there's more question marks, unknowns. This is kind of a lot of their first rodeo at this big of an event. That doesn't mean they can't get the job done. They are, after all, pro players. Anybody can bring it on any given day, but I will say Tribe Gaming EU should be the favorites in this one, and that's what I'm going to roll with. For the second match of day 2, it's another Zeta versus CMG matchup. This time though, it's going to be Zeta Division 0 taking on CMG Brazil. Zeta 0 are the favorites in this one, and arguably one of the favorites to still win the entire tournament. They are the only BSC team this year between the regular season and MSI to defeat Zeta Division 1. And they are mechanical players who have really proven themselves against the highest competition in the world. CMG Brazil have been scrimming a ton. They were another team that got to Paris super early. They picked up a couple grand finals wins this year, but I'm sticking with the favorites here. It's really hard for me to pick against Zeta Division 0 in the opening round. They're still poised for a deep run, and I've seen nothing to really prove me why Zeta Division 0 shouldn't win this matchup. A lot of respect for CMG Brazil, but give me Zeta 0 here. Full disclosure, this next one might be the most underrated and difficult to predict in the first round. This matchup is Tribe Gaming NA, the 1 seed from North America and LATAM North, taking on last year's runners-up NaVi. Tribe Gaming NA finished as the 1 seed in North America and LATAM North, and despite not having their best last couple months, nonetheless, they are still one of the most well-rounded rosters on the planet. They are all mechanical wizards, and I really do think this team has a ton of talent and a lot of backing and really good advisement with drafts, coaching, all of that jazz, which makes a really good team. Tribe played in MSI. They did beat AQM in round 1 and lost an incredibly close one to SK Gaming, who did make a deep run in the tournament, going to the finals and nearly beating Zeta Division 1. It came down to a set 5 game point for both sides. They proved themselves before. I see no reason why they couldn't make another deep run here. However, NaVi have really come to play in the second half. I'm really happy these guys got the chance to compete again, and they still have it in them to perform like they did at Worlds last year. I've even talked to Corey in the past on this show actually about drafts at MSI, and some of his inspiration actually came from NaVi, so it's really interesting to me that these two teams happen to clash in the very first round. NaVi's a really crafty team. They can make a lot of brawlers work, and sometimes they get a little unorthodox with those drafts, but they've proven to me, especially the last couple months, that they can get away with those, and they have a lot of different winning strategies that can definitely throw off the opponents and the casters at the booth. I think this will be a really fun one to watch. I'm really torn on what to pick, but I am ultimately going to go with Tribe Gaming NA in this one. They've been pretty consistent throughout the year. They have international experience this year, but I really do truly believe that NaVi can win this one. Even other players have told me this is a very underrated team, and I certainly believe that as well. Rounding out day 2, it's going to be Reconic Esports, Trick of China, the number 1 seed from mainland China, taking on SK Gaming, the 3 seed in EMEA. There's little information out there about Reconic. Originally, the representative of mainland China was actually going to be NOVA Esports, but due to some visa and travel issues, they could not make it, so Reconic Esports, Trick of China will be taking their spot. Reconic do have very experienced players, though. People forget that Imp and Goodnight have actually competed at a Worlds level before, but without much knowledge on this team, being unable to really watch them the entire year, and considering how good SK Gaming is in my mind in the eyes of other pros, and their success at being a runner-up at MSI, I'm going to take SK here. They're definitely the safer pick, but you never know. Maybe Reconic Esports, Trick of China shocks the world. Diving into day 3, not everything is going to go according to plan on days 1 and 2. I like to think that I'm going to have a perfect bracket, that it's all going to go according to plan, and on the BSC broadcast. I feel like I've done a pretty good job this year at getting most things right, but this is World Finals we're talking about in the most competitive year of Brawl Esports ever. Things are gonna get crazy. So if this isn't a perfect bracket, you don't get a perfect bracket at home, whatever it may be, feel free to share your thoughts and questions with me down in the comment section below, at me on Twitter, at me in my Discord. I am more than happy. All of that's gonna be linked down below. And even if you get a perfect bracket, let me know, because honestly, that's gonna be super impressive. Day 3 will undoubtedly be the biggest day of Brawl Esports ever. And to kick off the first part of that day, regardless of who wins, it's going to be an incredible match. I have personally got Zeta Division 1 taking on Reply Totem. Totem have had a fantastic year and even won a major LAN event against some of the best in the world. However, I still think Zeta 1 should be favorites in this spot. Totem did place top 4 in last year's event, lost to Zeta Division 1, but they've come back very strong again this year. They should be a very solid squad. I think if they match up against Zeta Division 1, it's possible that they can win. Keep in mind, this is some of the best competition we've ever seen in Brawl Esports. Anything can happen, and no match is free, but ultimately, I still think the more decorated team in Zeta Division 1 is going to take this. For quarterfinal number 2, I've got STMN and TQ in what I believe will be more straightforward. I think STMN win this one. TQ are a great team, but STMN are one of the hottest teams in the world right now. I've loved what I've seen from them in scrims. They're competing with just about everybody they're playing against, and overall they've proven it at LAN already this year for me. I'm going with STMN in this spot. Since this is coming out a few days before the actual matchups are released as well, I want to preface that I'm rolling with STMN or AQM in whoever wins going to the semifinals. Again, no disrespect to their opponents, but I do really like AQM right now. I do really like STMN. So with a little further thought, I do think either of those teams, whoever wins that round of 16 matchup, will advance to the semifinals. Of course, I'm rolling with STMN like I mentioned earlier, but just wanted to preface that so you all can be a little more prepared for your brackets. Quarterfinal number 3 is one I feel pretty confident in of happening. It's going to be Tribe Gaming EU taking on the 2 seed from East Asia in Zeta Division 0. Tribe Gaming added Lenon earlier in the year to add some depth to the roster, and it certainly gave them the spark that they needed to end with 2 grand finals victories and also a 1 seed in their home region. However, I do feel like Zeta Division 0 should still be the favorites here. Zeta have 2 defending world champions and have proven LAN experience last year. They have been the only team this year to beat Zeta Division 1, and they did it 3 of 7 matchups. LANs with a full crowd are a very different stage, so anything can happen here, and Tribe Gaming EU have certainly proven themselves throughout the year, but I do feel like Zeta Division 0 are the safer pick. That's who I'm gonna roll with. Pencil in quarterfinal number 4 onto your calendars. No matter who ends up being here, whether it's NaVi or Tribe Gaming NA taking on SK, it's gonna be a fireworks show. NaVi last month played a very competitive one against SK Gaming and even won that matchup. And Tribe Gaming NA versus SK, of course, have been one of the most historic rivalries in Brawl Stars history. In case you missed it last year, the opening of the World Finals of 2021 was actually SK Gaming going against Tribe Gaming NA. SK at the time were the favorite, one of the favorites even, to win the entire tournament, but Tribe Gaming NA beat them in a very, very close fashion in one was the coolest matches I've maybe ever seen in Brawl Esports history. They played again at MSI this year. However, it was SK Gaming who flipped the script and took this one 3-2. Super exciting one to watch as well. Definitely watch these 2 teams play. And if it happens here again this time around, this is going to be one of the best ones to watch. SK have been somewhat inconsistent, I would say, throughout the monthly finals, but nonetheless, I really believe in what this team has brought. They still have 2 grand finals victories and were runners up at MSI. Tribe Gaming NA did not finish the year as strong, but obviously are super mechanically skilled players, a very well-rounded composition. And I think overall, they are always going to perform very well on any given day. I've been able to watch a good bit of SK scrims, and they've looked really good to me. My recommendation, ultimately, go with your favorite. Ultimately, just have some fun with this. I think it's going to be way too tight to call, and this has been close every single time it's happened. Even if it's NaVi in this spot, don't be afraid to pick NaVi here either if that's something you truly believe in. For me, my default and the tiebreaker is going to go to SK. SK Gaming won this last matchup, but again, this one can easily go either way. I think all 3 of these teams, but especially Tribe Gaming NA, like I have slightly predicted going against SK, deserve a lot of credit here. We did get to see SK Gaming become runners up at MSI, and they played so incredibly well against Zeta Division 1. I love my Tribe NA fellas with all my heart, and definitely a huge happiness hedge on this one in case they lose, but this one's another coin toss. Ultimately, go with your favorite. Our final 4 starts with me having Zeta Division 1 taking on STMN Esports. Look, Zeta 1 will be the favorites in this spot. They're the favorites to win the entire tournament. However, If this match happens, I am calling an almost upset alert. I really do think the ceiling of Stamina is large enough based on how they played as of recently and in the past to possibly win this matchup. They are in their best form for the entire year. They played fantastic in scrims and have played Zeta Division 1 at MSI, and I feel like it was very competitive. Look, it was 3-1, but if you watch back through those matches, I do feel like STMN were certainly in the running the whole time. The safe pick here is Zeta Division 1, but do not count STMN out. These guys have the potential to bring home a Worlds trophy if they get there. I would go Zeta if my Tara skin was on the line, but if day 3 comes around, you want to cheer for an underdog, you're feeling safe about the Tara skin, don't be afraid to go STMN. Ultimately, I do think the fellow NA and LATAM North representatives will do quite well despite being labeled as a 3 seed. The second semifinal is going to be so tough to predict no matter who is there. In this spot, I have Zeta Division 0 taking on SK Gaming. Both of these teams have played against Zeta Division 1 very well. Zeta Division 0, of course, beating them 3 times and playing them as closely to anybody, including SK Gaming, who at MSI were so close to taking them down. Literally 1 game away from the script being very different and SK Gaming being your MSI champions and probably one of the favorites to go into this tournament. I really don't think there is a super safe pick in this spot. If SK Gaming make it this far, overcome their opponents to get here, they're going to be a great opponent for Zeta Division 0. If Zeta, I trust again, but if you were a firm believer in SK, pick them here. I really do feel like they have a solid chance, and this one more feels like kind of a 60-40 Zeta kind of feel to it. SK certainly have won a lot of matchups in this spot, but if I'm going with my brain rather than my heart, I would believe the favorites should be Zeta Division 0 here. That's what I would roll with. If there is one thing that I've learned from being on the casting desk for the BSC this year, it is that Zeta Division is inevitable.
And yeah, as you said, you know, it's been pretty much Zeta Division all year long. Question is, which one is it V? And is it still going to be Zeta at the end of today, as quite a couple of teams are trying their hardest to catch up, and today is the month to do so.
Well, there are a few certainties in life: death, taxes, Zeta in the finals, and the format being the same every single month.
As my wise co-caster, Mr. Ready Set, pointed out, Zeta Division is simply everywhere. Look, this is a matchup that many people had going into the year because both of these rosters are so insane. They've both proven that throughout the entire regular season. Zeta Division 1 won some of these matchups, Zeta Division 0 won some of these matchups, but ultimately, I will not be fooled again. Last month, I was casting East Asia. I hosted it alongside Trav and Teddy, 2 of my other wonderful co-casters, and all 3 of us get to the grand finals. At that point, it had been 3-3 in the rivalry Zeta Division 1, tying Zeta Division 0 so far that year, and we went with Zeta Division 0. However, Zeta Division 1 came out swinging. They won 3-0. They have the most recent victory. They won at MSI, so ultimately, I'm rolling with Zeta Division 1. I think they're the safest pick. They've been my favorite for a lot of the year, so I'm going to hold the line just a little bit longer and go with Zeta 1 to win it all. However, if you pick Zeta Division 0, I would not be too scared of that pick. I really do feel like this is kind of a 55-45% kind of matchup favoring Zeta Division 1, considering they've got the tiebreaker throughout the year and more grand finals victories. This is going to be a good one, though, and honestly, I truly believe could be one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic ever, seeing 2 teams from the exact same org with previous defending world champions on both sides. Be sure to watch this one. Thank you all for watching the entire video and making this year a really special one in my life. Being a BSC caster has been a dream come true, so thanks to the EE team and the Supercell team for making that all possible, and to a lot of you all down below. Without all the pro players and the community support, I would not be in the spot I am in. I'd really appreciate if you all subscribed as well. I do plan to bring back this YouTube video a little bit once the busy season for my work is over, and also when Worlds is over too. I'm going to do some fun videos, and I think it's going to be some really good times collaborating with some other creators, pro players, etc., and really bringing back some good Brawl Stars content for you. So without further ado, best of luck on the World Finals predictions. Go get yourself that Tara skin, and of course, if you have any questions, let me know on Twitter, my Discord, or in the comment section down below. Best of luck. Tell somebody you love them. See you soon, guys.